What's up, y'all? Brandon with BC Talks here. This past weekend, I went to a local comics, cards, and collectibles show on the hunt for some comic books. I've been striking out lately at my usual spots, the antique malls, the comic shops, and especially on eBay. I've been looking for some romance comics on eBay for weeks now, but I don't know what happened. They must have blown up in popularity because they are way more expensive than they used to be when I would get them on the regular and show them on the channel for y'all, in the past. I don't know if we're going to be having more romance comics videos, at least not from eBay for a while, because the prices are getting crazy on eBay. Hopefully I can find some out in the wild. But I've been striking out lately, so I was hoping to find something at this show, and I did. I got a nice stack here of two from two different booths that we're going to go over. One of the booths had 50-cent each comics, so I got a stack from them. And then another booth had $1 and $2 comics, and then obviously this one on the front was obviously not $2 or $1, but I still got it for a really great price, so I'm excited to go over all these with y'all. We haven't had a comic book haul on the channel in a minute, so if you're into comic book hauls, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more of those. Hopefully I have a lot better luck in these upcoming weeks and months, but I'm really excited to get into this stack, so let's get into the haul. So this first stack of books that we're going to go over was actually from the second booth that I visited that day, and I kind of wish I visited this booth first, because by the time I got to this booth, I was at the other booth, which was the 50-cent books, for like 3.5 hours, standing up, going through the bins. They had like a bunch of bins of comics, and so by the time I had went through all those and I got to this booth had the better quality comics, even though they were a little bit more expensive. They were $1 and $2, which is still not that much, and they had less bins, but I was tired from standing up at that other booth for 3.5 hours, so I didn't go through this booth as thoroughly as I did the other one, but I still found some really interesting books that we are going to go over today. And this first one is obviously, you guys saw it when I picked the stack up in the beginning, and it's probably going to be in the thumbnail as well. This is Space Jam #1, and now this book, obviously, most of y'all know Space Jam. If you're, over the age of, I don't know, like 25, I'd say, you should know Space Jam. If you're a millennial or up, you know Space Jam. And maybe a older Gen Z, they should know Space Jam as well. And then the younger kids probably know the remake that LeBron did, which was not that great. Now, we're not going to get into the basketball debate here of Bron versus Jordan. I think that they're both the GOAT, and I think that they both do different things differently. But personally, LeBron is my Pookie and my king, so I'm going to stand up for him.
Stop it. Get some help.
No, I'm just kidding. Those LeBron memes are hilarious, though. I'm not going to lie. LeBron has crazy motion. Jordan, I don't know if Jordan had that motion. LeBron had so much motion, he got his son into the NBA. Jordan did not have that motion. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. Everybody says that, Bronny's doesn't have talent. Bronny's not good. Okay. Jordan's sons weren't good either. But LeBron got his son into the league. So his son's obviously good enough.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Anyway, we're not here for basketball talk. This is a newsstand copy of Space Jam #1. It's a one-shot. And it's actually, so if I open it up here, it is not like a floppy issue. It's a one-shot, like a trade paperback kind of. And it's actually in pretty good condition. It's a little dusty, but I think a good clean could have worked that off. The inside is beautiful. If I flip through the pages here, y'all can see very colorful. And this, so I got the whole stack of books for $20, and y'all can see on the cover, the booth owner, he was selling this one for $15. So basically, if you want to think about it, I got this for $15, and then all these other books for this rest of the stack for $5. Or I got this for like $13, and then the rest of the books for their normal price. Either way you want to think it out. But yeah, it was a really good deal. This book in in a clean copy usually goes, if you check on eBay sold, it goes from anywhere to from $13 to $20. So I thought that 15 was a good deal, and like I said, if you take the whole stack into consideration, it's more like $13. And a graded copy of this, so like in a slab, they go from anywhere upwards of $100. Now, there was like a one on eBay that was an 8.0 for 100. I would say this is probably close to that, like an 8.0. It does have a little bit of spots here on the pages there. So maybe it might be like a 7, I don't know. But I don't know if I'm gonna get it graded. Maybe I get it cleaned and graded. Probably not though. I'll probably just have it for my collection. I like the cover a lot. So that was a cool book that I got from him. And then these next books, like I said, they were all either $1 or $2. We have a few Star Trek books. Now, if you're a follower of the channel for a while, you know that I like to pick up these Star Trek books when I see them, because my mom is a Star Trek fan, and I like Star Trek the Next Generation specifically. I also like Star Trek the Next Generation because I grew up watching the reruns that they would watch, so I know all the characters, and I really like Picard and the Doctor and all them, and Data. And Geordi on this one, there's a clone of Geordi. That seems like an interesting story. Clones are always interesting, and then this one's got Picard and Worf on there. The Klingons are a very interesting race. They made a whole language just for the Klingons. And a lot of people, a lot of nerds, they like to learn it and speak it. So we got these 3 Star Trek books here, interesting covers with the popular characters that I'm going to give to my mom for her little collection. And then this next one is also, and again, those were $1 each. This next one was also $1, and it's also one that I got for the cover. This is a really great cover of John Stewart, the Green Lantern, obviously. And none of those were keys, by the way, and this is not a key either. But I really love John Stewart because, as y'all know, I've talked about this on the channel before. I actually got into comics through the animated series, so Batman, Superman, and the Justice League animated series, Teen Titans, Static Shock, all of those late 90s, early 2000s series. That's how I got into comics and superheroes. So John Stewart was a very prominent figure in the Justice League animated series. So he was black, and there aren't a lot of black superheroes. Now there's a lot more representation, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was like Cyborg, John Stewart, and Static Shock. That was pretty much it for black superheroes. So I really liked John Stewart. And he was one of my favorite superheroes growing up. And so I always thought he was cool, and I really liked the relationship he had with Hawkgirl too in that animated series. I always thought Hawkgirl was a cool character as well. And so this I got for the cover. I love this cover here with his fist on the ring and everything. And now also, if you're not familiar, we're getting the Green Lantern HBO live action show next year, which I'm really looking forward to, which is going to feature Aaron Pierre, aka Mufasa.
Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. What? Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa.
So I'm really looking forward to that as well. Really love John Stewart as a character, and Aaron Pierre looks just like John Stewart from the animated series. He doesn't look like the comics John Stewart, although this was, back in the 80s and late 90s. This is actually, what is this? This is 91. So in the late 80s and early 90s, this is what John Stewart looked like. Nowadays, he looks a lot more like the animated series version because that's the version that got popular and a lot of people know. So John Stewart doesn't really look like that these days. He looks more like Aaron Pierre. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Speaking of black characters, I mentioned Cyborg. Here's another one. We got Tales of the Teen Titans, Tales of the New Teen Titans #1. This was a 4-issue miniseries. This one is actually a key. It's the origin of Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, and also the first appearance of Ron Evers, who was a childhood friend of Cyborg, who became his enemy later on. And if you've been following the channel for a while, I'm collecting all of the Marv Wolfman Teen Titans issues from the mid-'80s to the early '90s. Like I said, I grew up watching the Teen Titans animated series. They were my favorite superheroes alongside Superman and Green Lantern, obviously, and Batman. So I am collecting all of the Marv Wolfman series. I'm pretty much very close to being done. I think I'm like 80% or maybe even more done. But this is one that I did not have. And this is one that people tried to sell it for way more, like because it's Cyborg and the Teen Titans are popular, people try to sell it for way too much. And actually, now that I'm saying that, I'm looking on the back, and it was originally priced for $10. Now, he had it in the $2 bin. So I got it for $2, which is more of a fair price. If you go to like a show or a comic book store, you'll see this on the shelf for like $10, or some people try to sell it for like $20, between $10 and $20, which is crazy. This is a much better price for it. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't have it, because people try to overprice it. So I was glad to pick this up for $2. A really great cover of Cyborg. I really like this armor. It's obviously not functional for today. This is more of like an 80s look. Just like Nightwing's disco suit. You can't really do that in live action today, although I'm hoping one day we get to see Nightwing's disco suit in live action. Even if they just like go to a Halloween party, kind of like how they did with the Scarlet Witch, how she wore the original Scarlet Witch one piece with the crown in the Halloween for Halloween in WandaVision. In the show WandaVision, she didn't wear it the whole series, just for the Halloween episode. So if they do something like that with the Teen Titans, hopefully we get to see, this version of Cyborg's suit and Starfire's outfit and Nightwing and all of their old, 80s crazy outfits that they wore, because I really like those. And this next one here is another minor key. This is Silver Surfer number 75. It's the death of Nova 2, who was Frankie Ray, and he was a Herald of Galactus in this. And then it's also the anniversary of the Silver Surfer 75th issue, and it's an embossed hollow foil cover. This is another one that people overprice in shops. You'll see it anywhere. You'll see it from like between $5 to $10. But again, this was in the $2 bin, so I got it for $2. And if y'all been following the channel for a while, you know that I have a collection of these hollow foil embossed covers. I really like them. They're so 90s. Like, when did this issue come out? This issue came out in, it doesn't say, actually, on the front cover, but I would assume it was like 92 or something like that. In the early 90s, they were doing a lot of these embossed and hollow foil covers. I have a lot of them. Anytime I see one that I don't have, that's like cheap, like $1, $2.50, I'll pick it up, just because I think it's hilarious how they had all these chrome, rainbow shiny covers. It's a really funny gimmick that you don't see a lot of today. Well, we do have foil covers, but they're not embossed like that. They're different, the foil covers these days. I don't really like a lot of the foil covers these days. I think that they could use some embossing, like the 90s ones. I think they're kind of dull these days, the foil covers. But, and this last issue here is All-Star Superman, the Special Edition, number 1. Now, if you're not familiar with All-Star Superman, it is a 12-issue series that tells the tale of Superman's relationship with humanity, and basically in this, he gets like a super version of cancer, kind of, from the sun. So, Superman gets his powers from the sun, but in this series, the sun is poisoning him, so he's dying. And so it's basically a 12-issue series of him, coming to grips with that and his humanity and whatnot. Now, this is not the very first one. It's a different cover. This is the special edition that was given out for free with the screening of the Man of Steel in theaters. So y'all can see at the top there, it says Man of Steel in theaters. If it'll focus there, y'all can see it. So they gave this out, just like if you went to the special opening night screening, which I did, and I have that comic of Superman, James Gunn's Superman, that came out in this past summer. They gave out a comic for that. This is just like that. They gave this comic out for people that went to go see Man of Steel in the theaters on opening night. So, I already have the trade paperback of All-Star Superman, but I thought this was, just a cool little thing, I don't have this version of it, so I picked it up. I like the cover, and also, this was a big inspiration. All-Star Superman was a big inspiration for James Gunn in his Superman movie that came out this summer. He spoke about it a lot, and the very first image he posted was of All-Star Superman. All right, so that was all of the books from the second booth, and these books, next stack of books that we're going to go over are from the first booth, which, like I said, I was standing up going through all their bins. He had like probably 30 bins of books. Well, maybe not 30, maybe more like 15, 20 bins of books that were 50 cents each. So I was going through them for like 3.5 hours very meticulously. I actually went back through twice just to make sure I didn't miss anything. So I was there for a while and my feet were hurting. But again, these were 50 cents each. This first one here is Captain America, and these are like, 50-cent books. They're in a little bit rougher shape, but that doesn't bother me. So this one's Captain America 90. This is a minor key. It's the first appearance of Mother Superior, the daughter of Red Skull, who later becomes Sin and then the main Red Skull. And it's also the first cameo appearance of Black Crow and Crowform. Now, I'm not as familiar with those characters, so this is like a little minor key. I don't think we're ever going to see these characters in live action, but it is a cool cover. I like Captain America with the black suit here, and then, the black of her going over Falcon and them, and I like, it's just a cool cover with her kind of looming over them, and Captain America front and center. Cool cover there. This next one is Captain America 341. This is also a key. This one has a bunch of like minor keys, including the first appearance of Lamar Hoskins as Battlestar, which if you watch, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU shows on Disney Plus, we saw Lamar Hoskins as Battlestar in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that show that came out a couple years ago on Disney Plus. He died pretty, spoiler alert, he dies pretty like halfway through the show. So we don't see him as Battlestar too much, but we did see him in there. So that's a cool little key in this one. And then it's also got the first appearance of Rock Python, the first cameo appearance of Coach Whip, the first cameo appearance of Boomslang, the first appearance of Left Winger and Right Winger. Never heard of those characters, but they sound pretty interesting. And then it's the cover art is inspired by Daredevil 43. And it's got Cap and Iron Man fighting, and then it says Cap versus Iron Man there. So a cool little cover here, inspired by the Daredevil cover number 43. And I like this cover, and with the yellow, and then Captain America in his black suit there fighting Iron Man. Cool little cover, kind of a nod to, or not a nod because this came out way before, but kind of reminds you of the fight between Tony and Steve in the Civil War movie, which was a really good movie, if you haven't watched that. And then this was another cool cover. This is Captain America 405. This is the Cap Wolf. So the key here is Captain America transforms into a werewolf after being injected with a mutagen. Really cool cover here with the black face there, or the shadow on his face, and then Captain America in the wolf form holding up the shield. I love this cover. It's a really cool cover. And they recently did like a Cap, I think like at the beginning of this year or the end of last year. I can't remember. It kind of blends in together, but they did a Cap Wolf comic series. Like they brought it back for like a little mini series or whatever. So this is I don't know. Unfortunately, we're probably never going to see Cap Wolf in live action. The best we could have got is in Marvel Zombies. And we didn't, he was a different version. He's like the headless version of Marvel Zombies. So we're probably never going to see Cap Wolf in the MCU, unfortunately. But it's a cool concept. I like the concept, and the design is cool as well. Sad we're probably never going to see him. And then this next set of 4 books here, or actually, no, we'll go over this one first. This one is Punisher 46. This one's not a key, but it does, y'all can see on the cover, it has that swastika there. If you've been following the channel for a while, you know I collect comics and covers of comics that have like controversial images or images of, racism or controversial things. So I have here a few of these covers with the swastika on it. I've shown them off on the channel before. So that one's good. This one's going to go in that collection. Not a key, but just a comic for that collection. And then we have a few more Punisher books. This one, or these books, are interesting because I made a YouTube short, that got some good views in the comic series about this series of comics. This is the Punisher Comics number 55, number 56, number 58. I like this cover. And then number 60. And this is one of the images. I use this image in the short, actually. So if you're not familiar, in this arc of the Punisher comics, and I talk about it in the short, which I'll put a link, and if you go to my shorts, you can see it there. Basically, Punisher does blackface. So what happened is he got the Kingpin gets him falsely accused and sent to big prison, and then he does a prison break. He tries to escape, and a villain named Jigsaw cuts up his face beyond repair, and so his face is all messed up, which y'all can see on this cover there. That's why he's running away from the prison. That's the prison in the background, and you can see he's got the bandages all over his face because his face gets destroyed. So then he goes to this like seedy back alley doctor who's a heroin addict, and she I'm pretty sure it was a woman. She grafts the skin of a black man onto his face and his skin. And so he becomes, and they didn't have that issue, unfortunately. That issue is like issue 59, I think it is. Yeah, issue 59 is the famous one with the the grafts on his face and whatnot. And they're doing the surgery on his face. But they did have this one where he is with Luke Cage, his black friend, because when you get turned into a black person, naturally, where's it at? Here it is. When you get turned black, you naturally go to hang out with your black friends. So this is an interesting thing here, where he goes to hang out and with Luke Cage. So that's Punisher and Luke Cage there on the cover, both of them black. It's a really interesting storyline. They don't do a lot of social commentary in the storyline, other than he gets kind of abused by the cops, and the cops call him a coon, which makes him mad, so he beats up the cops. So that's the extent of the social commentary they do in this arc. Basically, they just wanted to make him black for a few issues, so they just found an excuse to make him black, I guess. That would never fly today. But I think it would be really interesting if they did this in live action, this kind of storyline in live action with John Bernthal's Punisher, because John Bernthal's Punisher, everybody loves John Bernthal. If anybody could get away with doing blackface or a black version of a character, it would be John Bernthal's Punisher. Everybody loves him, and he's a very, savvy, kind of politically aware person, so he would do it in a way that's tasteful, I believe. And also, you could actually do social commentary with it, besides him getting called a coon by the cops and beating them up. I think that you could do a lot of social commentary of, a white guy getting put into a black man's shoes for a few days and hanging out with Luke Cage. That would be interesting to see in live action. They'd never do it because, Disney doesn't like to touch those issues. We had the latest Captain America movie that came out with Sam Wilson. We had a black Captain America, and they didn't even really go into that. Of like what it means to be a black man. I know they did a little bit in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but Disney, they're not gonna go too deep into politics. They kind of touch the surface and then don't really go that deep into it. But I think this would be a really cool storyline to do some commentary on. So John Bernthal, you're not watching, but if you ever see my short or this somehow, I know you're writing that Punisher special. Write a little, special about that. I think it could be a cool opportunity to do some social commentary, on being black in America that Disney didn't do with our black Captain America in an entire movie. This next one is Night Stalkers #1. This is my little minor key. It's the first solo title series of the Night Stalkers, known as the Borderline Investigators, who formed in Doctor Strange #67, and it's also part of that Midnight Suns series. The Midnight Suns, a lot of people are, online are looking for us to get the Midnight Suns. This one here has Blade, and is that Cable, I believe, and then Morbius on the cover. And I didn't know that Cable was in the Midnight. Is that Cable? I don't think that's Cable. I don't know. Y'all can let me know. I haven't opened it up, but y'all can let me know. And I haven't read that arc. So y'all can let me know if that's Cable. Looks like Cable, but I didn't know that Cable was in the Midnight Suns. Maybe he was early on. He doesn't really fit the vibe of them. But yeah, a lot of people are clamoring for the Midnight Suns online. So maybe one day we'll see them. They are very interesting characters. If we ever get the Blade movie, that'd be a way to introduce them. Because we already have Doctor Strange and whatnot. But we'll see. You never know. This next one is another character that we've been looking forward to for a while that we haven't seen. This is Nova #1. This is not the original Nova. This is the second series from the 90s. This one's not a key, but it's, you can see it's hollow and embossed. Hollow foil and embossed with the chrome and the bronze and everything. So that's going to go in that cover. And it's got a RoboCop 3 ad on the back, too. That's funny. But this Nova's another character, and this is the Richard Rider Nova, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you can see on the front first page there. This is the Richard Rider version of Nova. There was also the Frankie Reyes version. And then the modern version, which I forget his name. What's the modern version? I can't remember. The kid, that's Nova. But we haven't seen any version of Nova, which is weird because we have the Nova Corps in the MCU. James Gunn introduced the Nova Corps in the very first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and they've been in the background of all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and things, the Guardians of the Galaxy media. They were in the game. They were even in the Nova Corps was in the Marvel Zombie series that just came out. So we've had the Nova Corps a lot in the MCU, but we haven't had their leader, Nova. So it's weird. You think it's been 12 years now since the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out, and we still don't have Nova. That's weird. Maybe sometime. I know they're talking about working on it, but they're also been talking about working on Blade too, and we're never going to see that. So I don't know. Maybe one day we'll see Nova. Maybe not. This next one is Captain America 425. This is not a key as well. This is just another foil embossed cover. I don't know if you can see. You can kind of see it right there on the hand how it's embossed. And it's not really glistening. Oh, well, there, if I hold it there, you can kind of see it a little bit better. So, yeah, that's going to go in that collection. And then we have another foil embossed cover for the collection. This is Punisher War Journal, number 61. Again, not a key, but another one of the chrome foil embossed covers. These foil covers are just so much better than the ones today because they're embossed, which if you don't know what that means, it just means it's the art is raised a little bit so you can feel it. Well, you can't feel it, but if you would ever see one of these from the 90s, if you feel them, it's raised a bit over the cover, so it's kind of like bumpy. And then it has texture to it, and then it's a foil and embossed as well. So yeah, the foil covers from the 90s are a lot better than the ones today, in my opinion. And then this last one is not a key; it's just one that I got to round out, even out the stack. This is New Warriors number 44. And it's a cool foil cover. Photo cover. So this is a picture. There's photo covers before. I thought this one was really cool, the way that they shot it, because it kind of looks like it's drawn, but it's actually a picture. And if you go in the back, this is Namorita, by the way, who's like the female Namor. Her name is Chimera. You can see that's the girl right there, the model in there, and then they also show you a page of how they kind of put the makeup on her and took the picture. So I thought that was a little cool thing there. And in the it says special thanks to Kevin Tang for the use of his computer. So it's funny, they didn't have a computer to do the editing. They had to borrow a computer from somebody else. Because when did this come out? Let's see here. February 1994. So not everybody had computers in their houses and personal computers at their jobs. So they borrowed the Kevin Tang's computer so they could edit this picture. So shout out to Kevin Tang, and also the model Matrice Beck, who is playing Namorita. I thought it's a really cool makeup that they did on her, and the picture looks cool. So yeah, that's an interesting little comic there. So that is going to do it for today's haul. Let me know what you thought of the books down in the comments below. I thought that I got some really interesting little books for 50 cents and $1 and a couple bucks. It's always cool when you can dig through dollar bins and 50-cent bins and find some interesting books, even if they're not super major keys, just some interesting covers, or interesting little things like that photo cover at at the end, and also that newsstand of Space Jam, which is a movie that I really like and watched growing up. So let me know what y'all thought of the comic book haul down in the comments below. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more comic book and pop culture talk, and I will see y'all another day.